With the release of Alien Earth streaming on Disney Plus now, I was inspired to go back and watch the Alien franchise. So, for the month of September, every Monday and Friday, we are going to be talking about one installment in the Alien franchise in release order. Kicking off today with the one that started it all, 1979's Alien. Hi, my name's Zach, and I started this YouTube channel because I cannot watch a movie without needing to talk about it afterwards. And if that sounds like you, you're in the right place. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, I want this to be a conversation between me and you. So, comment down below your thoughts, opinions, memories about Alien. Were you there in 1979 when it premiered? Did you watch it later on in life? Comment down below. I'd love to hear your story. As it is for me, I was pretty late to the party when coming to Alien. Not just because I was born in 1998 and this was released in 1979. I didn't really see Alien until I was about 18 years old. And I'd always heard about the film. I, of course, knew the famous scene of the chest burster. But there wasn't much else about Alien that I knew other than it sounded like a movie that was totally going to freak me out, as I am someone who is a bit of a scaredy cat. Not huge into horror. Horror is not my domain genre. I do enjoy horror. It's just not my go-to. But with Alien, this is actually one of my favorite movies of all time. So let's talk about what works about Alien. And this is one of those situations where we can't be here all day, but we totally could be if we wanted to. There's a lot about Alien that is not just revolutionary to the film industry, but just across the board, I think this movie is phenomenal. And it goes right down to the casting in this movie, where Ridley Scott, he really was meticulous. He took his time when casting these characters, and he made sure that the characters that he got for this film were the right fit. And every single character in this film, from Dallas to Kane to, of course, Ripley, they are all perfectly cast. And of course, you can't talk about the cast without talking about Sigourney Weaver. Now, Sigourney Weaver, this is actually her first film. And it's kind of interesting watching this film with some behind the scenes knowledge, because the cast surrounding Sigourney Weaver, they were very skeptical about her performance. They, in fact, thought that she was ruining the film.
Sigourney was the new kid on the block, and they all felt that she wasn't really doing that good a job in the scenes with her. And they were grumbling among each other and felt that it might hurt the success of the film.
Which is crazy to think about when you watch Alien, because she is such an attraction in this film where your eye just kind of instantly goes to her. And the film sets up Ripley as just being a side character in this ensemble cast. And it's not until more and more characters start getting taken out one by one that she slowly inches her way forward into the leading lady. And it's really not until about an hour into the film where you realize the main character of this film is Ripley. And Sigourney Weaver, she just absolutely kills it as Ripley, where at the beginning of the film, she's very much into following protocol. In fact, she's the only one in this entire ensemble that seems smart, because when the face hugger first attaches to Kane's face and everyone's like, bring us back on board, Ripley's the only one who's like, no, protocol says that could contaminate all of us. It could be a contagion. We are not bringing you back on board. And Dallas, the captain, goes over her head to bring him back on board, and that's when everything hits the fan. Ripley is the only one who survives, and she's the only one who had common, not logical sense in the first place. So to see her character journey throughout this film, where by the end of the film she is just kicking butt against this xenomorph, this alien creature, it is such a satisfying character arc. And Sigourney Weaver brings you in with her performance to the point that you just absolutely fall in love with this character. But that's not to take away from the rest of the ensemble cast in this film. They are all so great together, and you can tell that they really started to get a dynamic and camaraderie along the way of the production with each other.
We'd find ourselves going off and having lunch together and going down to the pub and talking, and it actually became like these, 7 people on the ship. It was kind of interesting, and you sort of developed your own little character from that.
There is just so many sequences when they're sitting around the dinner table, when they first wake up from cryo sleep at the beginning of the film, where they just instantly have this livable sense to their characters, where you believe that these characters have lived with each other for a long time. They've got these relationships established, where you've got the guys down in the maintenance room where they're all about union talk and they want to get paid more, like that the scientists are getting paid, and they set up these social class conversations that go along with the various members aboard the Nostromo, that it just makes it feel that much more lived in and more believable. And we haven't even gotten to talking about the alien yet, because yes, there is a common complaint for this film that it takes a really long time to get to the alien. I mean, you don't really even see the full-grown xenomorph until about an hour and 7 minutes into the film, but I really push against everyone who says that the first hour of this movie is slow. Nothing happens in the first hour. I think Ridley Scott is doing a lot in this first hour, very subtly, and in a way that it does move the story along. He lays the groundwork down beautifully for all these characters, the Nostromo. You get a clear sense of everybody's role on the ship without having them directly tell you what everyone is supposed to do. When they do get to the alien planet where they eventually find the eggs, like, we're the frogs, and he's putting us in the water to boil us, and he's starting off slow. We don't even know we're being boiled until it's too late. And that's kind of how he sets up the entire first hour of this film, where you're introduced to the characters, you're introduced to the world. They do so much world building with just the sets and the production alone. Ridley Scott did a lot to make the claustrophobic environment of this ship feel real. This is actually one huge set that the characters and the actors themselves have to go all the way through before they can come out. It causes them to feel trapped, not just in not just the characters themselves, but the actors, which then translates onto the screen.
Everything was so claustrophobic on that set. I mean, that is one of those sets where you walked in, and there's the engine room. Well, that's fine. But connected to that is the corridor. Connected to that was the cafeteria. Connected to that was the hospital. It was all connected, the ship. So once you were on, you were on. You had to go through everything in order to get off.
And you couldn't see out, so you didn't know where you were. And it was almost like shooting on location. And that really did contribute to the claustrophobia and the realism. I know it really affected the actors.
And when they get down to the alien planet, it's all on a soundstage. It's all practical. A lot of this film is in camera. There's very little CGI visual effects in here because they couldn't really do that at the time. Everything's a miniature or handmade. A lot of it comes from the artwork by H.R. Giger, who is responsible for a lot of the sexual innuendo imagery that goes on in this film, and also designed the face hugger and the alien. And let's talk about the face hugger for a minute. It is such a smart design because you look at it and you just kind of instantly get it. It's got the long finger-like tentacles that wrap around the back of the head with the suction that gets stuck to your face, which then sends a tube down your mouth to plant the egg. It is an awesome design, and with the tail that wraps around the neck, where if you try to take it off, it tightens even more. In the film, they say that this is the perfectly designed organism, and the way it plays out, you really do believe that statement. And this is the part of the film, obviously, when we get to the facehugger, when everyone gets back on the ship and Kane has that chest bursting scene where the alien comes out. This scene is still so effective to this day because, again, a lot of it is in camera. They've got John Hurt under the table, sticking his head out. They've got a prosthetic chest that they literally have a practical xenomorph figure that's going to burst through the shirt from underneath the table. The cast knew about the scene but didn't know how the scene was going to go in execution, so the reactions that you get when that chest burster bursts out of the chest, those are all authentic reactions. And Ridley Scott was just so smart in knowing how to make this atmosphere feel believable and real, and to keep the terror feeling real as well for both the actors and the audience. And when the chest burster does come out, when this film becomes the horror thriller survival flick on the Nostromo, it is so full of suspense and tension. It's not only still terrifying and incredibly fun to this day, but Ridley Scott also captures this film beautifully. This has fantastic camera work. A lot of it is handheld. Ridley Scott shot this himself, handheld camera, because he wanted us to feel like we were actually a part of this Nostromo. He didn't want it to feel steady. He didn't want it to feel like it was being filmed. He wanted it to get raw and feel as real as possible. And everything he did in this film to create that atmosphere, to create that sense of terror within the audience, it's all so effective, and it's just a masterclass of how it's done. When it comes to what didn't work for me in Alien, there's honestly not really much I can talk about. You could argue the beginning of it, the first 45 minutes to an hour, is a bit slow, maybe, but I think that that's cutting it short. That's underselling what they're doing in that first hour. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of groundwork, there's a lot of world building, there's a lot of immersing you into this world to where you buy into the fact that this alien creature is running around the ship by the time you get to that point. The only thing that I would say that kind of bumped me a little bit when watching Alien is this is a ship full of very smart and logical people. I don't understand why there's a cat on board, Jonesy, where multiple times characters, when they know that this big alien threat is out there, they go back for the cat to try and save the cat, and inevitably some of them get killed off for it. And look, I don't hate cats. I am more of a dog person than a cat person, but I would just think that if your life is threatened, you've seen what this creature can already do, and you know it's somewhere in the ship, you're looking for it, and you're concerned about a cat, some of these people deserve to be picked off for that. I'm just saying, keep it smart, people, keep it smart. Other than that, there's really not much else about Alien that I think doesn't work. It's one of the most masterfully made horror and sci-fi and just creature feature films ever made. And the alien design is so unique. It's so outside the box. H.R. Giger really does have a brilliant mind when it comes to creative art. And I don't think that the xenomorph has been topped by any other alien in any other movie, and that is saying something because this movie came out in 1979 and it's still the peak of an alien on the big screen. That's the thing about Alien and the franchise. It's still the greatest alien franchise I think that is out there, and Ridley Scott laid the foundation down excellently in this first film for other creatives to take on in the future, which we will talk about later on in this review series. But as it goes for the very first Alien, I'm going to give it a strong recommend. I may have been a little bit spoilery in this review, but if you haven't seen Alien, I highly recommend that you go and check it out. What did you think of Alien? Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this one. We'll be back on Friday for Aliens. I hope to see you there. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and don't just watch movies, talk movies. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.